Hi everyone, we recently received more information on the MTL and some of the fees. What are my thoughts on it? So a couple days ago we received more information on the MTL and some of the fees associated with it. There's been a lot of discussion online. Obviously some other creators have had their thoughts on it, and I just wanted to give you my thoughts and kind of how I view it in the greater picture of Veve, NFTs, investing, etc. So let me jump right into it. The first thing is, let's just go through it quick so we're all on the same page. So basically what they announced is they are continuing to beta test, and they're going to be soon rolling out the MTL, which is the ability to take your gems and cash them out into fiat. Great, excellent, wonderful. They mentioned a couple of the fees, which is a 10% fee that would be going to Veve, and then there'll be additional fees that the bank might charge, or there might be some currency conversion fees. So those could be as much as 10 to 20% more. And so perhaps it could be, 30%, even more. That could be taken away when you decide to take your gems and cash them out. First of all, I'm glad that we're at this point. I think the goal, and I always think about the goal from a 10,000 foot level, the goal is mass adoption of NFTs, Veve, etc. And it doesn't necessarily even have to be Veve. It's just watching and being a part of this technology grow. That's from my perspective. Veve is the one right now that at least myself, I'm involved with the most. And for that to happen, MTL has to be there. Part of the appeal of Veve is that it's very easy for someone that is not as technical to get involved. They download the app, they don't even have to KYC, they can buy gems out with a credit card, start buying collectibles, and then they need to be able to do the reverse, which is then after hopefully their collectibles have gone up in value, they need to be able to sell that, get gems, and get some money back out. So that life cycle is part of the promise, and I think it has to be fulfilled if we're going to see mass adoption. And I think that's what we want. That's what I want. So that's the first thing I think about. It's a no-brainer. It's kind of like people say, Windows 11 is coming out. I'm not going to upgrade. I won't love Windows 10. Well, it's just part of what's going to happen. You can say that, but eventually they're not going to support Windows 10 anymore. You're just going to have to move on to Windows 11. And that's what I think about the MTL. All right, let's talk about these fees. So it's not a matter of whether or not the fee is too high or too low, or for whatever reason, the company has decided, and I'm sure they've got a bunch of smart people that have done numbers, and they know things that we don't. In other words, how many people have 1,000 gems in their account, how many people don't, stuff like that, and have done projections, and understand that this is the money for what they are attempting to do that they need to make to be profitable or to cut, whatever it might be. And so if you're going to play in this pool, this is the fee that they're going to impose. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't be critical. That doesn't mean that we can't voice frustration. I mean, we should do all that. And I actually think, by evidence of what people have done in the past, Veve does listen. So if there'd be a mass exodus for whatever reason because the fee was too high, then I think they would listen. And so at this point, with my understanding of what's going on, I'm okay with that fee. And one of the things I haven't mentioned here is taxes. And I think that when you're looking at a investment, you're always looking, can I make 5% annually? Can I make 50% annually? You're looking at all these different things. And generally speaking, nobody then talks about the taxes that you have to pay. Everybody obviously has to pay capital gains tax. So I leave that out. So when I'm looking at Veve and I'm saying, okay, I can take, this comic that I bought for 10 and hopefully times 10 it and sell it for 100, obviously that's 90 gems that I've created. But then, we have to pay these fees, and then you'll have to pay taxes. But to keep apples to apples, I do believe, for the most part, people do not include taxes when they're talking about their gain. So I won't in this discussion either. But you've seen online, if you're looking at Twitter, a lot of people do, well, then after this, I'm going to have to pay taxes. Well, you would have to do that in any type of investment if you had a gain. Okay, so let me jump to more of my thoughts on it now that we've kind of defined what's going on here. So my first thought on it is this is just more information that I'm going to build into my equation when I'm thinking about this as an investment. So we're always gaining information, and because this is a speculative market, in other words, this technology is just in its infancy, we're still learning things all the time. So one of the things that was an unknown was what these fees are going to be, and now it is a known.
Oh, there are known unknowns. That is to say, we know there are some things we do not know. But there are also unknown unknowns. The ones we don't know, we don't know.
Now, they could change it, and they said this is all these fees could change, and even after they come out with it, they could change them, drop them, or raise them. So we're kind of at the mercy of them in that perspective. But it's another data point that we can look at, or that I can look at when I'm trying to compute different things. And so I'm definitely going to do that. So when I'm like, oh, wow, I've made 50,000 gems or whatever, now I might not even in my own mind think of it that way, because I'm going to cut it, cut 30% right out of the gate off of that. So another thing that I think people will think about is, well, maybe I don't want to put X amount in because, with all these fees and whatnot, I'm going to have to pay, then maybe I don't want to do that. Well, I actually never consider that when I'm doing an investment. I remember a friend of mine long ago, somebody invested $1 million and they said, oh my God, how can they invest $1 million? And it really doesn't matter the amount that you're investing. So maybe $1 million is a lot for you, maybe $1 million is a little for you. It's obvious you're looking at how much can you make. And so that's where this additional data point helps us in understanding what are the possibilities. Because that's my second point that I want to talk about is when you're thinking about Veve as an investment perspective, it is this kind of risk reward. So when you're going with more established things, like if you're going to put it in a bond or maybe in a well-known company in the stock market that's more established, the risk is less. When you're taking money and putting it obviously in a cryptocurrency, the risk is much, much higher. So is the reward there? And now we have another data point that we'd have to calculate off of. So that's critical for me in terms of going forward, and I'll just build it into the equation when I'm making any of these decisions. So one of the things people say is, why is the fee so high? And that's difficult for me to know. Is it high? Is it low? And let's just say it's high. Let's just pretend you believe it's high and it's justified. Why is it high? It's high because we are playing in a speculative market that isn't established. It doesn't have, at least right now, it doesn't have kind of the two key components to really push that fee down. And that would be competition and the evil word in the crypto world, which is regulation. Both of those things, could push that fee down, especially obviously competition. And I'm not going to say that some of the other ones out there aren't competition. They are. But when you're thinking about Disney NFTs, at least currently, there is no competition. So that allows Veve, love or hate them, to kind of have this fee a little bit higher. But on the other hand, because we're in a speculative market, you have the opportunity from a reward perspective to really, double, triple, quadruple times 10 your money. So that's the game you're playing. Oh, I have to possibly pay a little bit higher fees, but I have the opportunity for this massive gain. And so these types of things, I'm constantly cycling in my brain. Does it make sense? And this kind of goes back to one of the videos I did a long, long time ago, which is about, going all in, or how much money are you going to, put into something like Veve. And for me, and most people I think advise, not financial advice, is going to be a smaller percentage of your overall wealth, because as we're learning more and more data points, some of these things that you may learn, you may not agree with, or they may not work into your equation that you have built out. And if you put too much money in, it's obviously going to be pretty painful at that point. So I am constantly monitoring that and trying to do, what makes sense for me and where I'm at financially. So those are my thoughts today, kind of a brain dump on where I think we are. It's exciting. I think, as I mentioned earlier, this is a necessary piece of the puzzle to complete the life cycle to really push this to mass adoption. And I'm happy to see it come out. Thanks for watching. Take care.